Incredibly important for everyone to pay close attention to this and to fight to prevent this from happening. We need to preserve net neutrality. Now, the head of the Federal Communications Commission, Ajit Pai, is set to unveil plans next week for a final vote to reverse a landmark 2015 net neutrality order, which barred the blocking or slowing of web content. Now, for those of you who are unaware of what net neutrality is, maybe you haven't been following along with the story, just a quick summary.
Ever since the internet was created, it's been organized around basic principles of openness, fairness, and freedom. There are no gatekeepers deciding which sites you get to access. There are no toll roads on the information superhighway. This set of principles, the idea of net neutrality, has unleashed the power of the internet and given innovators the chance to thrive. Abandoning these principles would threaten to end the internet as we know it. That's why I'm laying out a plan to keep the internet free and open. And that's why I'm urging the Federal Communications Commission to do everything they can to protect net neutrality for everyone. They should make it clear that whether you use a computer, phone, or tablet, internet providers have a legal obligation not to block or limit your access to a website. Cable companies can't decide which online stores you can shop at or which streaming services you can use. And they can't let any company pay for priority over its competitors. To put these protections in place, I'm asking the FCC to reclassify internet service under Title II of a law known as the Telecommunications Act. In plain English, I'm asking them to recognize that for most Americans, the internet has become an essential part of everyday communication and everyday life. The FCC is an independent agency, and ultimately this decision is theirs alone. But the public has already commented nearly 4 million times, asking the FCC to make sure that consumers, not the cable company, gets to decide which sites they use. Americans are making their voices heard and standing up for the principles that make the internet a powerful force for change. As long as I'm president, that's what I'll be fighting for too.
Net neutrality is essentially regulation that ensures that internet service providers cannot slow down the speeds of certain websites. Now, when you consider the fact that some of these major internet service providers have merged with a bunch of other companies and they own media companies, well, it becomes problematic because they are allowed to slow down the websites of their competitors if we dismantle net neutrality. So a free and open internet will no longer exist, and we need to fight to preserve what we currently have. In May, the FCC voted 2-1 to advance Republican FCC Chairman Ajit Pai's plan to withdraw the former Obama administration's order reclassifying internet service providers as if they were utilities. Pai now plans to hold a final vote on the proposal at the FCC's December 14th meeting. So less than a month from now, that guy will dismantle, the regulations that allow for a free and open internet.
Now, he looks like a good guy in that picture, but that's a very bad man.
I specifically show everyone that picture because he's a gigantic douchebag. And that is the mug that he uses to try to make himself seem like a fun-loving, no, you're a dick, okay? And what he's trying to do right now, by the way, Verizon, which is one of these major internet service providers, is the company that he used to work out as a lawyer, right? So we talk about the revolving door of politics. This is kind of an example of that.
Yeah.
This is a perfect example of that. He's trying to help out his buddies at his former job, and who knows what other, perks he's gonna get from a company like Verizon or another internet service provider when he's no longer the FCC chairman.
I mean, when you look at it, it's just a matter of making more money, right? Because they can charge more for these faster internet speeds.
Yes.
So people who can't pay more get the slow service.
So nonprofits or small mom and pops. I mean, we say, well, how many mom and pop places are there? Well, there are lots.
Yes.
I mean, the net is filled with them. And the net neutrality, which is just that, a neutral net. Everything, nobody's biased in anybody's favor or against anyone. So everything comes in at the same speed. That neutral net is going to go away. And Anna's right to point to the associations of Ajit Pai, but the last guy also had associations. Wheeler was also mobbed up with Comcast. So these guys, the fact that they're mobbed up, oftentimes that's just what we end up with. We end up with Goldman Sachs guys running Treasury and all of that sort of thing. But in this case, Ajit Pai was, from the outset, he stated we're going to change this. Net neutrality is going away. That was one of the cornerstones of his new commission. And I think he's really going to follow through on it. I mean, this is going to be revolutionary. And it will, and as Lauren says, if you can't pay, you ain't getting in. People won't be able to download you as quickly as they will those sites that can pay.
And let me guess, their argument is capitalism.
Exactly, free market.
But it's the exact, this is crony capitalism, right? I mean, capitalism is supposed to support competition. And in this case, you're doing away with the one regulation that preserves competition. So independent media, gone. Unless you're gonna, partner up with a major company that can pay the price for faster internet speeds, gone. Right? And that is a very scary society to live in. And just to give you even further context, it's very clear what their intentions are. Because if you look at other cases that the FCC is voting on, they're totally fine with certain types of mergers, for instance, certain types of media acquisitions that would lead to more propaganda, in my opinion, less diversity of opinion in media.
The FCC is being led by Ajit Pai. He was a former Verizon lawyer and has throughout thought that net neutrality should not exist, that the internet providers like Verizon, Comcast, and others should be able to discriminate and slow some websites down, speed others up, and basically destroy the internet as we know it, and just hand almost all of the power to decide who has websites that work, that function, and who don't, to just a handful of internet providers throughout the country who often have either monopolies or duopolies throughout the entirety of the United States. Okay, so today they went a little further in executing that plan. Federal Communications Commission Chairman Ajit Pai's plan to roll back net neutrality rules took its first step forward on Thursday, according to The Hill. The commission voted 2-1 along party lines to advance Pai's Restoring Internet Freedom proposal, which would repeal current net neutrality protections. That is as Orwellian a title as you could possibly have for a regulation. Restoring Internet Freedom, which would in reality destroy internet freedom and hand all the power over to about 5 companies. This is so loathsome and so obviously against internet freedom that this is a rare issue that liberals and conservatives unite over on the internet. The only people that don't unite over it are the Republican politicians who are bought lock, stock, and barrel by those same 5 companies. Their voters are not with them. No one on the internet's with them. Even the most diehard Donald Trump supporters online go, wait. Our websites can be shut down if we don't pay a ransom to those 5 companies? That sounds like a terrible idea. That's right. And not only that, it not only advantages those 5 companies, it also gives a huge advantage to other crony capitalists who could then go and legally bribe through campaign donations other politicians to say, hey, in my field, why don't you give me an advantage and slow down the websites of my competitors? I'll pay off the politicians and then I'll go pay off the internet providers, and I've got more money than you, so you no longer have freedom. All of a sudden, nobody can go to your website because it's too slow. How do you like that? Internet freedom, restoring internet freedom bill. They are absolutely Orwellian. Hill continues to explain Pai's proposal would undermine existing net neutrality rules by undoing the legal basis of the regulations. They say, no, the regulations were keeping freedom away from the internet. Really? The internet seems pretty free right now. They say, oh no, businesses just can't thrive on the internet because of the current rules. Preposterous. Google, Facebook, and some of the other tech giants wrote back, yeah, we're doing okay. And the internet freedom is what allowed us to build these companies and break the monopoly that the rest of the media had. And to their credit, they could actually do crony capitalism too, but they're not. They have the ability to pay the ransom to Verizon, Comcast, etc., and then kill off their competition, but they're not. They're actually, for the moment being, doing the right thing and fighting for internet freedom. And almost all the investors, and so we also have some rich folks on our side for a change here, that put money into internet ventures go, no, we put money in expecting these rules. Don't talk to me about how you're gonna restore freedom by destroying the rules that have always existed on the internet to keep it free. It is a total and utter lie. The Obama-era net neutrality regulations, again, as The Hill explains, passed in 2015 as the Open Internet Order, aimed to create a level playing field on the internet by ensuring that broadband providers treated all online content the same. And that is exactly what they're looking to end now as Ajit Pai looks to destroy internet freedom and unsurprisingly give a massive, gigantic advantage to the company that previously employed him and paid him a lot of money, and my guess is will employ him again and pay him even more money after he's done instituting these new rules.